Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellencies. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the stage for what is set to be a very, very interesting conversation indeed. Your Excellency Abdullah Al-Balala, can I start with you, please, sir? Because with the UAE set to host the 2026 UN Water Conference, how can this moment be used to attract European and Gulf capital towards integrated water, energy, and climate projects that really do address regional resilience needs?
Hello, everyone. Allow me at the beginning to thank ADGM and the team in Abu Dhabi Finance Week for convening us today, for convening in Abu Dhabi a great week of interaction and partnerships that can be created. So, to your question, yes, the UAE will be hosting the United Nations Water Conference. Or maybe before that, I should speak about how great of a relationship between GCC and EU we have in general, and in UAE, EU in specific. Trade between us is going into unprecedented level. Lucy is doing a great job being the ambassador of the EU in Abu Dhabi. And we've been working with the EU member states and EU itself in so many ways. We are firm believers, both of us, with the nexus between energy, water, and climate. As you recall, we hosted the World in COP28 in Dubai in 2023. A big number of initiatives went out of that platform. One of them I can speak about is the Energy Efficiency Alliance, for example, where UAE, EU, and other member states have joined. The other thing I want to highlight is what we made sure that, given the alignment we have as GCC and UAE in specific with the EU, to ensure that this nexus is not missed away from the water conference. So we made sure when we launched our interactive dialogue, which got adopted by consensus in July this year for the UN Water Conference, to ensure that there is an interactive dialogue that addressed all climate issues, and it's called Water for Planet. The Water for Prosperity is other interactive dialogue that we will be hosting in the event, which is shedding the light on energy, climate, and water nexus. And the sixth interactive dialogue will be investments in water. And here we look forward to create more partnerships between UAE and GCC with our friends in Europe. And we're happy and honored to have EIB, EBRD representative with us today. So it is the time today to work on these partnerships in order to get something done by the UN Water Conference.
Mr. Tsakiris, along those lines, how does the EIB view this EU, GCC, MENA region within the context of the EU's new pacts for the Mediterranean? And then, of course, we also have the forthcoming TMED Clean Tech and Renewables Agenda.
So thank you for the question. I don't know, maybe this is better. So thank you for the question. It's an honor for me to be here. And also to introduce, let's say, in a way, to such an event, the European Investment Bank, which is the European Union's climate development bank, let's say. And we actually see this European Union GCC MENA corridor as a core strategic region for our external engagements. Because although we are the European financing arm, a lot of projects, we are also operating globally with 10% of our annual financing to be outside the European Union. And this particular region, which is the MENA, including the Northern Africa, is key for our investment. So we are operating in a clear mandate to support partner countries in meeting their development and climate goals. So, as I said before, the Mediterranean and the Gulf region it's not peripheral to what we see. It's a core area for cooperation in finance. The new Pact for the Mediterranean, which was launched in 2025, it's a major political shift from the European Union. And it reflects the, let's say, the recognition that energy transition, climate resilience, and economic stability in the region cannot happen in isolation. They have to be coordinated, they have to be aligned and funded from all the relevant stakeholders. So for the European Investment Bank, this gives us a clear strategic direction in our financing. And I would put on top the forthcoming TMED clean tech and renewables agenda, which take all this effort a step ahead.
Building partnerships. Your Excellency Majid Al Suwaidi, what's been your experience in collaborating with Europe on climate change and the energy transition?
Well, Georgia, firstly, thank you so much for having us here today. It's fantastic. The conference this week has been amazing. I think everybody can agree. And, we at Altera have had a fantastic engagement with the European Union. The UAE in general is very like-minded with the European Union when it comes to climate and the energy transition and how we want to be investing in that future energy system. And that's the whole purpose of Altera. When we were launched at COP28 in the UAE, we were launched with the purpose of mobilizing 250 billion, using 30 billion of our own capital. So it was a real commitment by the UAE that from day one, we committed 6.5 billion of our capital to BlackRock, TPG, and Brookfield to start deploying capital right away into their funds. And we're invested across a suite of funds, 7 funds. We've created 2 brand new Global South funds with them, because as you know, of our 30 billion, 5 billion is for the Global South. With these 2 funds, we were told that we could raise maybe 1 or 1.5 our capital. We've managed to raise, with Brookfield, 9 times our capital, with TPG about 4 times our capital, which shows the appetite and the interest. And a lot of that has come from European partners. We're invested already. We've started to do co-investments as well towards the end of this year. And we're invested in 2 fantastic European companies, Neoen, which is based in France, and Absolute Energy, which is based in Italy. And we're investing across the globe. And we want to see more and more collaboration and cooperation between the UAE and the European Union. We've had a long track record of working with European countries, and I'm really confident that that's going to continue to grow in the future.
It's really exciting to hear there of the progress that's been made since, of course, COP28. Your Excellency, Abdullah Balala, I'll turn to you again, if that's okay. Because as the UAE strengthens its role in regional climate diplomacy, how do you see this EU-GCC collaboration evolving? And I'd like to ask particularly in translating these high-level frameworks into concrete investment-ready renewable and maybe hydrogen projects across the region?
I think it's undeniable fact that the UAE and EU share lots of similarities and common factors when it comes to deploying or energy, speaking about maybe specifically about energy transition. EIB, ABRD have been working with the UAE institutions for a long period of time. So we have projects with EIB, I remember, more than 10 years ago. But speaking mainly about frameworks, and as a host country of the COP28, a number of declarations, a number of alliances were endorsed and is on the making today to be translated into actions and projects on the ground. I can name a few of them. I actually named one of them in my previous remarks when I spoke about the Alliance for Energy Efficiency. So this came as an outcome of a declaration of tripling renewable energy and doubling energy efficiency. And today we have this alliance alive. Another thing we're working on as well is how we can strengthening and aligning our regulations between the EU and the UAE. And of course, when I talk about the UAE, the way you should understand it is that it's extended also to the GCC countries, given that UAE is a country and EU is a bloc. So GCC, EU are always available on our table to be discussed. And the future of these projects to be deployed, be it energy or be it in water, or also be it in alliances, have been working very well. I can name the Loss and Damage Fund, I can name the methane. Those are all outcomes of COP28 as of today. And every single one of them you will find GCC, of course UAE, but other GCC member countries, and of course EU representatives at it.
Now, I know we've got three very important people on the stage, but I'm aware that there are also very important people in our audience. And with the sort of major European finance institutions and Gulf developers sort of present today, Mr. Johannes, what blended finance or de-risking models could enable immediate EU GCC co-investment in things like hydrogen, renewables, sustainable infrastructure? You know, what can we do right now, effectively?
Thank you. It's an excellent and very timely question. In general, theoretically speaking, there is always a misalignment between demand and supply, demand for funding and supply of funding when it comes to infrastructure investments. And so there is, someone might say there is a surplus of liquidity. The other side says, yes, but there is underfunded. And here comes a method that we are always using in the European Investment Fund, which is blending. Blending and de-risking the finance that we are doing, either with guarantees, with grants from the European Commission, so that to crowd in also private investors and let's say multiply the firepower that we can have. I can tell you an example, a recent example that we have financed with 400 million euros with a results-oriented loan for water security in Jordan, where with this type of structure, we managed also to get a lot of other financiers from the private sector. So what we are usually doing is trying to have this type of smart, as we call it, financial structures that they're suitable for a lot of type of investors depending on their risk appetite and the risk return, let's say, target. So blending is a key instruments that we are using.
A surplus of liquidity. Your Excellency, from your experience, what forms of partnerships would accelerate those capital flows into emerging markets?
You know, this is a really important question. When we were at COP28, we spent a lot of time traveling around the world. Sultan, our COP president, as you know, and I traveled extensively. I think we almost went to every country. But the thing that we heard time and time again was that money or capital was not being mobilized to the global south. So we actually see a great deal of investment in climate and renewable technology happening in the developed world because it makes economic sense, because it's the cheaper form of energy today. It's the green electrons are the cheapest form of energy today, so it's a great investment. But then when you come to the global south, often that doesn't happen because investors will still rate these as new technologies or riskier technologies to take on, which is actually not the case. And so a key part of what we're trying to do with Altera is to have that mobilization. So remember, I mentioned one of our main goals is to mobilize 250 billion. And that's why we need to create these vehicles like the two we've created with Brookfield and BlackRock, where we start to reduce the risk to the private sector. We know that sometimes markets in the developing world can be more challenging to invest in, and those can be perceived risks, by the way. They're not necessarily real risks. We did a white paper this year that showed clearly that there were plenty of investable projects out there that were investable today, and that we need to see more and more private capital moving to the global south. We in the UAE, of course, are used to investing in the global south. We are of the global south. We do this all the time. We've got decades of experience. If you look at Masdar, our renewable energy company, it's been investing in Africa, in Asia, Latin America for years and years. So we know how to do this. What we would love to do is work with partners from the EU, from other parts of the developed world, to say, hey, we can bring our knowledge and expertise in investing in the global south, and our capital, by the way, because we're going to put our money here. And can we have partners who are going to come alongside us to help us to mobilize that capital, to de-risk and create the pipeline that then encourages the private sector to come in and creates that snowball effect, so you see more and more private sector capital coming to the global south.
In many ways, a very exciting call to action there, to bring that liquidity and start investing in these sustainable projects. Your Excellency, I mean, given Europe's new pact with the Mediterranean and this emerging TMED clean tech and renewables agenda, where do you see the strongest opportunities for EU, GCC and EU, UAE specifically cooperation? I mean, is it in things like investment, regulation? Is it green finance? Is it market creation? Or is it all four?
The simple answer is all the above. First, I want to commend the EU for the pact. I think it's a great step forward and strategic one. Today, as Majid mentioned earlier, if we take Masdar, our renewable champion in the UAE, we exist in Europe and in the Mediterranean, and we exist in North Africa as well. We also announced at the beginning of this year a project to connect Albania to Italy. Albania, as you all know, is a country that almost 100% relies on renewables, mainly hydropower. So supplying Italy with renewable is something we are for and we are supportive of. So the pact can serve as a great opportunity between the UAE and the EU, and of course GCC is welcome to join. But speaking more about green financing, I'm chairing a real estate investment fund called the Masdar Green REIT here in ADGM, and we are evaluated at almost 3.2 billion dirham as of today. And it's a testament of the UAE and Abu Dhabi in specific believes when it's come to green financing. Such financing mechanisms, of course, with like-minded partners like EIB and our friends in Europe, is what's required to ensure that we have a full green cycle when it's come to financing and delivering renewables between the Mediterranean and North Africa.
So we have the liquidity, we have the willing, we have the projects, we have the enthusiasm, but do we have the bankability requirements? What does the EU and the Gulf need to consider together to accelerate this shared investment pipeline over the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months? A short deadline.
Well, you have put it very right. That's the last ingredient, let's say, to complete the last piece to complete the whole puzzle. So in order to accelerate the progress that we have done, and it's significant progress so far, to accelerate it more, because I think it's very important to go even faster. First of all, we need regulatory clarity. It's very important everybody to understand the rules of the game. And given that there are different frameworks, legal frameworks, different countries, it's not easy all the time to understand each other, this framework. The second, which is equally important, is the preparation of the projects, which is also a part of what I said, that there is a misalignment between the excess liquidity and the underfunded projects. because projects are not well prepared. Projects are not at a stage where a financier can see, can analyze, and take a well-informed investment decision. So we need to work a lot on preparing the projects. For example, we as European Investment Bank, we are offering together with our financing free technical assistance. So we're giving free resources for the projects to mature and make clear, make visible what are the pros and cons and where attention has to be taken. For example, talking about hydrogen or let's take hydrogen. There's most of the times there's no, let's say, very clear view who are the off-takers. It has to be very clear for someone to finance the project. And what else? The third thing that we need is a continuous, and I'm insisting on this when it comes to our partner countries, a continuous flow of information. Information on projects, on pipelines, so that a constant communication, it's crucial to accelerate not only the existing projects that are in the pipeline, but also to create a significant pipeline for the future. Because, as you know, the chances for a project to be financed in a pipeline, they're not 100%, they're less. So you have to maintain the pipeline. So you need continuous cooperation when it comes to scouting of new projects.
I mean, in many ways, that's why it's so exciting to see this second edition of this conference happening, because, of course, it is opening those pipelines of communication. That was our sort of throw ahead, just 12 to 24 months. Your Excellency, I'm going to ask you to look ahead to 2030, so we've got a few more years there. What would success look like for you at Altera in terms of reshaping capital flow, in terms of accelerating the energy transition?
Well, the advantage we have at Altera is that we're able to be a long-term thinker. So we're investing over the long term, and 2030, although we think of it as far away, is not that far away, is it? People forget that Altera is only about 2 years old, and if you think about the achievements that we've had already, in the fact that we have 2 Global South funds that we've co-created with our partners that are deploying capital today. We have 20% of our capital already committed and in the process of being deployed. I think that we've already achieved a lot, but our goal is to never stop. By 2030, we want to be mobilizing capital. That's why we're always looking to work together with partners. We have this ambitious goal of achieving 250 billion mobilized using our capital. And that's why we need to have more and more partners working with us. And we would love to see more European partners working with us. I would also like to see that we're able to be not just capturing those low-hanging fruit, but going into more challenging markets. So being able to understand how we can help develop these new energy systems. Remember, Altera doesn't only invest across energy, we invest in industrial decarbonization, climate technology, and what we call sustainable living, which allows us to invest in things like water, agriculture, other areas. So what we hope, or I hope, is that by 2030 that we're able to scale and expand these future technologies that are going to lead to us living in a cleaner, more sustainable environment. I think that that's what's exciting about what we do. A lot of people look at us and say, oh, well, they're a green fund, that's what they do, they're sustainability, but they forget that what we are is a future fund. We are investing in the technology of the future that is going to make your life more efficient, it's going to make your life cleaner, healthier, it's going to make our environment better. And that's what I think I would like to see us by 2030, scaling up those technologies. We don't invest in one-off projects or pilot projects for a reason. It's because we want to take technologies or we want to take solutions and we want to expand them and see them grow and scale them. And so I think that that's what's really different about Altera, is that next step or that next generation of investing that is going to take us into the future.
It's very in keeping, of course, with the UAE's vision and enthusiasm for innovation and forward looking.
I mean, it's exactly within the ethos of the UAE. And when you live here and you come and visit the UAE, you can see we're a young country. We're only 54 years old. But thanks to the visionary leadership that we've been lucky to have, and our president, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, who has done just such a phenomenal job, and other leaders here in the UAE, to really drive progress and development within the UAE. I think it's incredible the success that we've achieved. And we've done that through creating the right investment environments, through putting smart investments. And that's really a testament to the leadership we have here, who've been able to drive investment into the right sectors, and then to couple that by bringing in the private sector to scale it up. So that is exactly what Altera does. That's the same model. And we're really excited about the results that we see today, even before we've gotten to 2030.
Your Excellencies, it's been an absolutely wonderful conversation, Mr. Sakiris as well. This is it's not the start of it, because of course there was a forum last year as well, but you do get a sense here of these ongoing conversations that I'm sure are going to continue off stage as well as on stage. But I'm deeply grateful to all three of you for joining us for this panel discussion. Thank you very much indeed. A round of applause, please, for our panelists. Thank you very much, gentlemen.